Alright, muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano pazimunews update apo patinoda kupa ma first hand update anonga ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So panapa ndiri kuya ndakati kavei ma updates akati wandei pasame video kuti tinge tichikuzivisai zvimwe zvezvinhu zviri kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. Sekuziva kwatiri kuita kuda Tagwirei ane mashares oro anga ine mashares kubhengi riya CBZ. So pane mashoko ari kubuda kuti kuda Tagwirei akutengesa mashares ake nemari inokwana yekuita 100 million oro akatengesa oro haasati atengesa misinformation iri kubuda hatisi kunyasa kuziva kuti zvakamira sei, but kuda Tagwirei toziva kuti ane mashares muzvinhu zvakawandisisa kunana munhu mutapa investment and so forth. Ane mashares kunhu kwakawandisisa muri yeZimbabwe. So tiri kuona panapa kunana kuwimba kunana muri yeZimbabwe hazvitomboperi. So ndosaka muri kuona ari billionaire uye ari aligned na president Emerson Mnangagwa. So tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe toda kuti tiwerengetese tione kuti zvakanyatsa kumbomira sei. Tichaenda futi kuchikwata chebhekilika lezulu chiri kuendesa vaMnangagwa kumatare edzemhosva mushure mekuappointa 10 masenators. Toziziva kutoti that chikwata chebhekilika lezulu chikwata cheZANU-PF board tiri kuona kuti mazuva aya 2030 aya tiri kuona kuti wakayamboendesa nyaya vakazofumurana pakazoita lawyer rakanyimwa mari wakatanga kuita sei ndo vakatanga kubuda nyaya dzese. So tiri kuona panapa pakanyimwa kunzi what Tagwirei told the newswalk about the 100 billion CBZ shares sale when the new walk called Zimbabwean billionaire kuda kwashe Tagwirei a close ally of President Emerson Mnangagwa on Thursday last week at 8:40 a.m. to verify if he has sold his CBZ bank shares for 100 million to the Public Service Pension Fund PSPF muri yeZimbabwe through Agribos nominees. Before the story was out, he was emphasized, I have not sold anything, it's not true. Tikuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe tikuona apa paine nyaya yakubuda kuti akatengesa mashares. So iye akazotaura ega paakafonerwa achiti handina kana kumbotengesa kana chinhu, kutori kutonyepa, it's not true, kutori kutonyepa. Ndine tichingomhanya tiriko kunana CBZ ikoko ndikuda Tagwirei ainge achitaura panapa. So tikuona panapa kanywa kunzi the day before on Wednesday last week CBZ chief executive Lawrence Nyazema had said, how are you doing my brother? Tiri kuona kuti wanga donyasa umeka kuti chokwadi here kuti kuda Tagwirei akatengesa kana kuti hana kana kuti iye akatengesa ari kutonyepa kana kuti information iri kubuda iri kunyepa. So wakafonera chief executive anonzi Lawrence Nyazema muri yeZimbabwe. So tira kuti tinzwe zvavaitaura panapa, how are you doing my brother? So tiri kuona panapa I am not I'm in a short flight muri yeZimbabwe ndi uye anga ari kupindura that Lawrence anova ari chief executive weCBZ. Tiri kuona panapa subsequent effort to get Nyazemba failed amid missed calls on both sides. Agribos Capital Incorporative head Agribos Securities Group chief executive Edmond Mupapaviri said on Thursday after some missed calls the day before, I am not in office until Monday, so I don't know what's happening. I'm not on office on Monday, I don't know what's happening. The news inquires he had started on Tuesday last week amid market speculation that Tagwirei had sold his shares for 100 million kune that company staggering profit considering the money muri yeZimbabwe. Ndofunga tiri kuona ndo zvimwe zvezvinhu zviri kuitika, but iye kuda Tagwirei akataura kuti handina kutengesa. So tiri kuona kuti ava majournalists vanga vakufona kuda kuti vange vachinzwa kuti chokwadi sort of like kwakatengeswa here kana kuti hakuna kutengeswa muri yeZimbabwe. So tiri kuona kuti ava machief executive nechicha vanga vari kupindura zvinhu zvisina kutsarukana. Mwana ari kuti ndiri muflight, mwana ari kuti mamised calls haasi kudaira foni, mwana ari kuti asaka zviri kunyatsozikanwa zvinhu kufamba sei. So tiri kuona panapa following ibheshulika lezulu urgent constitutional court court application seeking a directory order against President Emerson Mnangagwa appointed of additional 10 senators. Court must decide 3 key legal issues, main legal. Tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe chikwata chebheshulika lezulu toona kuti ichitori under ZANU-PF because pakatadza kubhadhara loyara rakamirira nyaya yekurwisa munhau ya 2030 ya ndo pakabuda chokwadi chese emhuri yeZimbabwe kutoti loyara kubuditsa zvinhu loyara racho rainzi Tabitha, zita rakainzi Tabitha but ndotokangana senemu yake but zita rakainzi Tabitha that lawyer. So tiri kuona KOC says the 9 million spent on houses and cars was gifted by her husband. What next? Muri yeZimbabwe tirakuona kuti chii chinoitika because iye kumataredze mhosva atati ndakapiwa naCollins Mnangagwa. So tirakuona kuti mai Mnangagwa vacharamba vachienderera mberi here nekuita zvinhu zvavari kuita kana kuti. So tirikuona ndi Dr. Grace Mugabe Dr. Grace Mugabe ama1 tirikuona hakainde ichilema mhuri yeZimbabwe hakainde ichilema kutanga kudoita udictator paZambia because tirikuona kuti that guy Brian ari kutaura kuti ndakatobirirwa chimwe. So tirikuona zvinhu zvatsokufamba mune zvakanaka. So tirikuona pana pakanyorwa kunzi Mnangagwa dragged to court accused of picking senators with a ZANU-PF politician. President Emerson Mnangagwa has been dragged to the constitutional court over the appointment of 10 senators with 2 applicants accusing him to picking. Tirikuona panapa ndo nawo madzingorikodze kutoti vari kuendeswa kumatare edzemhosva. So tiri kuti tinze macomrade tinawo pano kuti
joining the movement they can be killed and silenced. You need to understand the real thing, the issue that's going on in Zimbabwe, because the people in Zimbabwe are dying. They're even abducted even today. We cannot use the Zimbabwean soul. The space in Zimbabwe is no longer a safe environment for any opposition movement to exist in. So that's why I was saying, let's ask Zimbabweans, just like those Zambians that put money together and book these conference hotel rooms and all that stuff, let's do the same. And let's write down our ideas. Let's put all our heads together. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, let's, as long as you are against ZANU-PF, because the biggest monster we have in Zimbabwe is ZANU-PF. So no, we are not trying to convince Trump to come and fight our war so we can give him gold or diamond or anything like that. What we are saying is we are asking for recognition. That's where it starts. So when we put our heads together, form this strong organization, we then go to the United Nations and present ourselves. Take all the evidence, talk to people in Zimbabwe, the people on the ground, and they tell us their experiences. We take all that, use it as an evidence against Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF and present it to the whole world. And when we engage, we're going to engage because, to be honest, to be frank with you, I have lost all faith in SADC because all they do is stand up for each other in their wrongdoings. And Ramaphosa, you know why? This is my opinion now. I feel like Ramaphosa is not going to call Mnangagwa out because Ramaphosa knows that so long there is this, what am I trying to say? Whatever the situation is happening in Zimbabwe, instability in Zimbabwe.
Ramaphosa has his pala issue to handle with.
Listen, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off, but he knows that so long as Zimbabwe is unstable like that, it's got no investor confidence, it's got nothing that it can do. So by supporting Mnangagwa, whether on a brotherly level, on a revolutionary party level, on whatever level, so it's good for South Africa because our country is gonna be always look like boo-hoo. They ain't got nothing, they ain't got their act together. We're not gonna invest there. You see what I'm saying? It is beneficial for South Africa, for Zimbabwe to look the way it looks. For the situation of Zimbabwe to be what it is today, it is beneficial for Zambia, South Africa, Botswana, everybody. Because nobody can invest, because nobody can trust our government to put their money, their multi-billion-dollar business in there. You need to understand that. And also, because another thing, Ramaphosa benefits from Zimbabwe, from what I'm hearing. I'm not so sure, guys. I'm not saying he actually do. But I've heard people saying that
her daughter has mines in Zimbabwe, and is actively donating money, significant money to. The last time she came up, she went to Zim and donated to ZANU-PF on that aspect. I don't remember it very well, but I saw it on my timeline.
You see, this is what I'm trying to make this. This is what we're trying to let this gentleman from South Africa understand what we're dealing with. We're not going to these countries and saying, "Oh, come and take over our country." No. But you know, I'm going to tell you something, because America, Britain, Germany, and everybody, they're not going to come to Zimbabwe militarily and attack ZANU-PF just because they've broken, they violated human rights. No, because it's got nothing to do with America. Zimbabwe is its own sovereign nation. But if we as Zimbabweans stand up and fight, whatever support, we are only appealing for support. Whatever, in whichever way, shape, or form. They even did support us I don't know, some of you remember Studio 7. We had Studio 7 during the time 2008, 2006, 2007, where nobody could talk, nobody could do anything. After Mugabe they had a total grip of power, was trying to make sure nobody assembles, nobody. And then he was only allowing the news channels and the radio channels in Zimbabwe to broadcast the propaganda that he wanted. The United States gave us the support by putting that Studio 7, and we could hear what was exactly going on in the country. But in this time, if we go to these people as determined citizens and have a clear mindset and idea on how we want to free Zimbabwe, I have zero doubt that any of these people will kick us to the gate and say, "No, you are not welcome here," because themselves, they can't, because the international law simply does not permit them to do that. And we're not asking them to go and invade Zimbabwe. All we're saying is support us in our struggle, because we're trying to get the freedom that we deserve in Zimbabwe. That's it. And I'm going to close my mic. And I hope that made sense to the gentleman from South Africa.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like to see people rising up and assume that they are asking another country to go and do something bad to them. It's a rhetoric that can also be appropriated by our oppressor. And in Zimbabwean case, it has used it countless times. That is how it starts to repress people, by accusing them of wanting to be subvert and all manner of things. When citizens rise, there is no need for anybody to start wondering whether who will join them and who won't join them. In any uprising, there are people who don't join you. We are not worried about that. We have an advantage right now. We don't actually need frontline states. We are already living in those states. Some of us already citizens of those. And the countries where we live extend rights. So some of the things people tell us from outside, you won't get help. No, our members of parliament in the UK can bring issues to the parliament of UK. Because I am a citizen here. And I can bring it from a communal level. What you have not seen, and I think a lot of people need to now start to respect that Zimbabweans are talking about their issue. And they're now starting to say what we've done before didn't work. You only know our story from the before. What we are trying to do is to give you our story from now. Most people articulate our troubles based on elections, and they start and end there. The reason you see us sitting on platforms daily is not because we are worried about who wins an election. It's because we are violated daily, with nothing to do with elections, with ZANU-PF's desire to maintain power and dominance in all aspects of life. Parking in Zimbabwe can be an issue of whether you are ZANU or not. Toll gates, you don't know that story. Yeah? Getting or staying in the land where you've stayed can be determined by that. It's got nothing to do with you being an opposition member. It's just that you're not ZANU. People are raped and bayoneted by a system that can now appropriate your poverty, solicit anything they want from you, from sexual favors to pedophilia with your kids, because they have deviants in our country can now have impunity by attaching themselves to ZANU and terrorizing communities. ZANU can appropriate gangs that are deviant for a totally different thing, unrelated to ZANU, Mashurukwi, just their wars in mining, and appropriate them for untoward activities in communities as they themselves fight for power. So we want to tell our story so that the real truth and new allies emerge who have a dislike and a disregard for dealing with countries that do that in their country. So people should stop talking our story. We are saying right now, we now want to tell our story, not the election story, not just the stolen election cycles, 5 years. We are not abused every 5 years. We don't get abused during elections. Daily, right now as we speak, somebody unrelated to any politics or elections. It's not election season, but you see us here. Most people